Just signing up for YouTube Live. We're almost in. Okay, signing in. Hi. I think we're nearly there. Thank you for bearing with me, just getting the technical side down. So now we're on YouTube. That's brilliant. Thank you for joining me today and welcome to the Masterclass. So hi, a very warm welcome to you. My name is Lucie Simon, and I am going to give you 3 top tips today, how to balance your hormones. And really, this is through diet and lifestyle tweaks. I'm really excited to get started on this. So we'll just jump right on in. And what I need to do is one more bit of technical, which is to share my screen with you. So just 1 second. See, this is okay. Share screen. Sorry, guys, this is going to take a second. Desktop. Okay. I'll find my class slides and then we'll be ready to go. 1 second. Here we go. Present. Right. Hopefully you can see that and you can still see me miniature in the corner. Let's see how we go. Okay, here we are. I think we've got the technical thing out the way. I can begin, and lovely to have you guys here. Welcome, welcome. So yeah, my name is Lucie Simon and I am here today to give you a brief masterclass all around hormones, really looking at hormones, women's hormones, because I'm a women's health expert. I'm a BANT registered nutritional therapist, and I work as a chef on chill out retreats with my sisters. We run yoga retreats and have done for the last 12 years or so. So I've really been helping a number of many women over a number of years to manage their menopause and perimenopause symptoms with diet and lifestyle. So I'm also a mom, and I'm also entering the perimenopause phase of my life myself. So, you know, we are all going through this together, and that is the beauty of actually this transition in our life, which if you look at it when we're going through it with a kind of conscious mindset, it can be a really transformational part of our life as well. So yeah, as I said, over the years, I've helped many women to overcome the common hormone imbalances that have been holding them back. So first of all, I'll run over briefly how our hormones work in this short masterclass so that you can really understand why you may feel the way you do, and importantly, what you can do to get your hormones back in balance and to feel better with diet and lifestyle tweaks. So first of all, how hormones work. I'm just going to move myself a little bit here so you can actually see the slides. How hormones work. So they are chemical messengers which are transported to our tissues via the bloodstream. So if you think about that, they're messages that go around our body, giving our body different messages. Our body's incredible at communicating between all the different systems, and our hormones really facilitate that. So they're made from fats, and they're located in the endocrine glands that are dotted all over the body. Our hormones regulate most of our major bodily functions, from our hunger to our reproduction, to our body temperature, to our metabolism, our sleep, and our stress, and so on. So it really has an interplay with everything in our body systems. And when they're out of whack, it can, of course, have an effect on all of those systems in a negative way as well. So that is really what we're looking at today, exactly what's going on in our bodies and how we can make a difference. So the female hormones, and which are the main players. So throughout our life, hormones play a massive part in, as I say, many different parts of our life. They really govern everything, and it's not just our menstrual cycle. They govern things like growth, energy levels, hunger, blood sugar levels, stress response, blood pressure, sleep, and happiness. And the main 4 hormones that women that really control how we look, feel, think, and perform are really these four: insulin, cortisol, estrogen, and thyroid hormones. And really, the cortisol hormone, insulin is our fat storer, cortisol is our stress hormone, estrogen is our sex hormone, and thyroid is our metabolism regulator. So all of these should be working synergistically to keep us well. But if you're chronically stressed, for example, and the cortisol, our stress hormone, is dominant, then that can have a negative impact on all the others, leading to all kinds of hormonal imbalances. So this is why it's really important to take a holistic approach to managing hormone balance. And I'll talk more about that in the stress management later on. But as you can see, all of these four players are really important throughout our life. And if they get out of balance, it can really have an impact on all of the others. So our cycle, and if wherever you are right now, if you are, maybe you still have a cycle and maybe you're beyond the phase, but if you're having your cycle, I'm just going to explain a bit about what's going on with our cycle so that we can understand our different stages. So I'll explain really about the menstrual cycle and what should be happening in the body and what happens when we come to the end of our cycle around the perimenopause and menopause as well. So the menstrual cycle is actually made up of these two phases, as you can see here. And those two phases they actually interact and overlap. One cycle is happening in the ovaries and the other is happening in the uterus. The pituitary gland in the brain and the ovaries in the uterus all work together to communicate through our hormones. So the pre-ovulation phase, which is the follicular phase, happens when menstruation starts. So the first day of our period is day one of your period, and that is where you bleed and shedding last month's uterine lining. The first half of our cycle is called the follicular phase, and this runs from day 1 until day 14, the middle of our cycle. So as you see in this demonstration here, you've got the ovulation right in the middle, and that will be usually around day 14 in the cycle, if your cycle is around 28 days. But of course, this can change if your cycle is longer. So this phase at the beginning is all about follicles. And aside from bleeding, all kinds of hormonal activity happens at this stage. So follicle stimulating hormone triggers the growth and the maturation of the egg that the follicle contains. And testosterone is also involved in this phase. It is not only a male hormone, but also needed by all humans. And this peaks in the run-up to ovulation too, giving your sex drive a kick in case you need some extra encouragement to make a baby. Ovulation is the moment when the mature egg bursts out of the follicle, thanks to a boost in estrogen levels, which triggers a sharp rise in luteinizing hormone from the pituitary gland. And some women may notice a twinge of pain on ovulation in the midsection of our cycle. And if your cycle lasts, as I say, 28 days, then ovulation is usually happening around day 14. If your period is longer, then you want to count back 14 days from the end of your cycle. And that means, for example, if you're on a 35-day cycle, you would expect to ovulate on day 21. So post-ovulation, the luteal phase, which is the second part of this diagram here, begins when you ovulate and gets its name from the corpus luteum, which is left behind on the surface of your ovary after the follicle has discharged the egg. So the corpus luteum is responsible for making progesterone. This is the dominant hormone in this second part of your cycle, and the one that's responsible for the thickening of the uterus lining. The hormonal changes in this phase are associated with common premenstrual symptoms that many people experience, such as mood swings, mood changes, acne, sore boobs, things like that you get just before your period. And that's usually around that phase. So if pregnancy occurs, of course, the progesterone remains high at this stage, protecting that uterus lining. And that high progesterone is what indicates a positive pregnancy test, if that was your wish. And if pregnancy doesn't happen, then that lining breaks down, which causes a drop in progesterone and estrogen, and the cycle begins again. So as you see, you have this kind of fluctuating hormone balance throughout the month, and that's how it should be happening. But of course, when hormones are out of balance, then that cycle can be disrupted and it can lead to hormone fluctuations, which can have a negative impact. So it's really important to know what should be happening, and then we can also work out the signs and symptoms of when it's not, if it's not going to plan. So also, we are born with this finite number of eggs. And as we come to the end of our stock within our life, our cycles come to a close and we experience hormone fluctuations, usually around the perimenopause or menopause stage in our life. So this is beyond our cycling years, when we have our cycle, which usually runs from, maybe you start your cycle at the age of 13, 14, and usually goes on, you have your cycles until you're between 40 and 50 years old. So perimenopause is the lead up to our menopause. And that is really the stage that where the number of eggs that when we come to the end of our stock, our cycle comes to a close and we can experience these hormone fluctuations. During this stage, estrogen levels fall. This is the perimenopause and menopause stage. Our estrogen levels fall, testosterone levels also decline, and progesterone levels fall even faster. Our thyroid hormones are also affected, and this can cause problems because, as we know, hormones work synergistically, and when one's out of balance, then it affects the others. So really, the lowdown on perimenopause and menopause is really the menopause transition. The perimenopause happens during the last 5 to 10 years of our cycles and can begin in our early 40s. It's not a midlife crisis, although it can feel like one at times, but it's really a natural part of life. And menopause is actually classified as a specific day. It's 12 months of no periods. So the average age of menopause to occur is around the age of 51, and it marks the end of the reproductive phase in our life, and also the birth of a brand new phase with possibilities that brings as well, which really, in our culture, in the Western culture, we really have to remember this part, the positive aspects of reaching this stage in our life. In many other cultures, we approach menopause and perimenopause in a different way. Say, for example, in Japan, many of the women in Japan don't actually experience menopause symptoms at all because of their diet. And in places like Africa, when the women come to the point where they're during the perimenopause and the menopause, they are more revered in society, and they go through a number of transitions and kind of rites of passage within their society that bring them to this stage of kind of the wise woman in their community. So perhaps this is something that we could look at as well within the Western society, something that which we always used to have, and which we maybe need to remember about ourselves again. It can be a hugely empowering stage in our life, but really it's understanding what's happening in this stage and what kind of symptoms we may be facing. And just to know that you're not going mad when you're having these symptoms. You know, it's completely natural and a part of that hormone imbalance, which can happen at the beginning of our cycles and also the end of our cycles too, when our estrogen levels and progesterone are all fluctuating. So some of the symptoms of perimenopause, there are many symptoms, but some of the main ones are, of course, things like painful periods, irregular periods, a longer cycle, brain fog, irritability, forgetfulness, anxiety, depression, panic attacks, fatigue. All of these things can really play a part in our overall life. Things like your hot flushes, night sweats, bloating, weight gain. These can all be symptoms of the perimenopause and can happen when the estrogen levels mainly fall in our body. So have a look at this list here, and I want you to just have a look at these. These are really the common signs of hormone imbalance. Have a look at that and really just track yourself what kind of hormone imbalances you may be feeling. So are you exhausted? Do you need caffeine to keep going in the mornings? Do you find that you're craving? Are you putting on weight, especially around the middle? Do you get headaches? Do you get brain fog? Do you have memory problems or night sweats? Do you have heavy periods if you are still having your periods? Do you find that you can't sleep? Maybe you can't get to sleep. You feel bloated. feeling low or depressed or anxious. Maybe you have constipation, or you're losing hair or excess hair. I mean, there are so many ways that these hormone imbalances play. And this is really the signs and symptoms, the signs that our body is telling us that our hormones are out of whack. So have a look at that, perhaps write them down. And if you find that you've got more than kind of 5 or 6, then certainly for you that means that hormone imbalance is occurring, and therefore you can really look at addressing that. Now, through this masterclass, I'm of course looking at diet and lifestyle, but there are alternative therapies as well. You can look at HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy, which is a treatment to relieve the symptoms of menopause by replacing hormones that are lower level as you approach the menopause. And it has come a long way. HRT has come a long way since the 70s, when it used to be derived from horse urine, and now it is plant derived. And there are many different preparations, and a GP can explain the different types of HRT available and help you choose the one that's suitable for you. So absolutely, I would say each person is different. If you want to go HRT, then that is a tool in your toolbox, but it's a tool. There are also many other ways that you can manage these fluctuations in our hormones. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about now, the way that you can look into diet and lifestyle to help manage these issues. But certainly if you can't take HRT for any reason, perhaps you've had an experience of breast cancer or family breast cancer, history of breast cancer in the past, then diet and lifestyle will be really important way of managing these symptoms. So here we are, the three my main tips to keep our hormones in balance, and trying to keep these as succinct as possible. But really with many of my clients, it comes down to these 3 things. And the main one, the top one, is blood sugar balance. So I'm just going to go into that a little bit here. So we've got blood sugar roller coaster. And I don't know if you've been familiar with this, but really blood sugar levels and how we manage them is through our food. So when we consume sugar and refined carbohydrates like bread, pasta, biscuits, cakes, and sugary drinks, snacks, and alcohol, our blood sugar spikes, triggering the hormone insulin, which stores excess sugar into fat. And when our blood sugar drops, our body secretes stress hormones, cortisol. So as you can see here, the blood sugar fluctuations, if you're getting a lot of sugar in your diet, as I say, from things like your high refined carbohydrates, pastas, sugars, things like that, then you'll probably be on these blood sugar fluctuations. So learning how to balance your blood sugar is key to maintaining hormone balance and helping you to keep your weight on an even keel, energy levels more consistent, fewer mood swings, and better quality sleep. So if you find that perhaps you're gaining weight around your middle, you feel tired a lot of the time, you get energy slumps, particularly in the afternoon, you crave carbs, you have brain fogs, you get thirsty and pee a lot, then these are potential signs that you're losing blood sugar control. So really, when we're looking at blood sugar balancing, we are looking at certain foods. So these are the certain foods that we're looking for, blood sugar balancing foods. First of all, you want to think, where is the protein? So protein acts as building blocks for our body, and protein keeps us fuller for longer. So as I explained before with the blood sugar, when you're on the blood sugar roller coaster, you're getting a lot of refined carbohydrates, which is sugars in the body, and they give you a peak of energy, but then you get the dips of energy afterwards. When the sugar, it burns very quickly in the body and then is stored as fat. Whereas when you're looking at eating more protein, you're giving yourselves the building blocks of the body, the building blocks of your hormones, and also it keeps you fuller for longer because proteins take longer to burn in the body. So when you're looking at blood sugar balancing and you're looking at that throughout your meals, you're always looking at where's the protein at every meal or snack. It's key to balancing your blood sugars and staying energized. So that might mean eggs in the morning for breakfast. It might mean a protein-rich snack of hummus with crudités, or perhaps a protein snack such as nuts and maybe nut butter and banana on oat cake. That could be a typical, really good quality protein snack to keep you fuller for longer. The other one is filling up on veggies. Eat as many different colors as possible. All of those vegetables will give us all the antioxidants that we need. They will give us fiber, which will help to move the hormones through our system and always keep our detoxification systems functioning as they should, and also our digestive system functioning as it should as well. You want to keep that digestive system moving through. You want to be excreting those toxins every day, and by eating a lot of vegetables, you'll be ensuring that. It also helps to keep us fuller for longer as well, without those blood sugar dips and troughs. And also, as I mentioned, think carefully about the quantity and quality of the starchy carbohydrates. So if you're looking at potatoes, rice, pasta, bread as staples in the typical Western diet, these can really spike our blood sugar levels. So aiming for low GI foods such as whole grains, vegetables and fruits help to keep our blood sugar in balance, which influences our weight, hunger, and energy levels too. Last thing, don't fear fat. So fat, as I explained, our hormones are made from fat. So we really need those fats to help to balance our blood sugars, keep our weight and energy levels on an even keel as well. And actually, the building blocks of all hormones are fat. So don't reduce fat, don't fear fat. If you go for low fat options, they've usually put more sugar in as well. So we're looking at good fats. We're looking at essential fats, things like your avocados, things like your eggs, your oily fish, things like this. They're really good, healthy fats. Nuts and seeds, really important as well for our hormone balance. So those are the kind of blood sugar balancing foods. The other functional foods that we're looking into as well are phytoestrogens, which are weak plant sources of estrogen and can adapt to our levels of estrogen in our body. Phytoestrogens are found in things like soybeans, lentils, beans, chickpeas. All soy products such as tofu, miso, and tempeh include these phytoestrogens. And actually, as I mentioned before, in Japan, many women don't actually experience many symptoms of menopause at all, because they didn't even until recently have a name for hot flashes, because they weren't experiencing them in their culture. And that is many studies have proven that is down to actually the fact of the high levels of phytoestrogens within their diet and the low levels of dairy and things like that. So this really shows you that our foods can have a really significant effect in our hormone balance. So those phytoestrogens help to mimic estrogen in our body in a positive way. Also, flax seeds help because they also have these phytoestrogen effects, and also they help with fiber. They act as fiber in our system as well, keeping us regular, help to move these hormones throughout the body. They are wonderful, and actually just by sprinkling flax seeds on your morning breakfast or in your smoothies and things can have a real wonderful effect on our hormones. So other things like apples, pears, carrots, fennel, onions, these are all prebiotics which help to feed the probiotics in our guts, and probiotics here as well that I'm talking about. Fermented foods such as yogurt, kefir, and miso are really important to support our gut health and hormone balance too. And the apples and pears and carrots are actually food for our gut bugs. So we want to always keep our gut in good quality, because our gut and our brain connect together. You have this gut-brain connection, our hormones and the messages around our body are also dependent on a healthy gut. So important to get those probiotics in as well as your functional foods. So phytoestrogens and probiotics, really important. So here we are. The last thing really is stress and hormone balance. So around the menopause, when the ovaries start to produce less estrogen, the adrenal stress glands, which also produce estrogen in a far lesser quantity, have to pick up the slack. So therefore, it's really critical that women going through the menopause take extra care of their stress levels with really good self-care routine. So that may be getting out in nature. It may be practicing yoga or meditation as a way of buffering the body from stress. So finding ways that put you into a kind of parasympathetic state, which is a rest and digest states, rather than putting ourselves in these chronic stress conditions. So finding ways to help us relax is really important for hormone balance. And the last thing as well is reducing toxins. So watching out for endocrine disruptors and synthetic forms of estrogen within our diet and lifestyle as well. So in the 21st century, more than any other time in our history, we are bombarded with toxins, which act as a stress on the body. So in addition to the environmental pollution, there are also toxins in some of the food we eat, including pesticides or even hormones in intensive farmed animals and meats. Add to that, many shampoos and conditioners, body washes and body creams also contain ingredients that disrupt our hormones. And plastic food containers can also have a negative impact on our hormones too. They're called xenoestrogens. They act in the estrogen in a negative way, kind of in our body. So switching to ceramic or glass containers for food wherever possible is advisable. Trying to go for organic wherever you can, and opting for natural skincare to minimize this toxic intake is really ideal. So to work at its best, the body's detoxification machinery also needs to work well. Your liver is where a lot of our thyroid hormones get converted into the active mode. So if our liver is struggling, a deficiency of active thyroid hormones can slow down our metabolism too, hanging on to fat stores. So it's really worth having a look at those stress management tips and really trying to reduce toxins in our environment, switching to natural and organic wherever you can. So that's just a number of ways. Really, we're coming to the end now of my presentation. I hope that's given you a little bit of an understanding more about how your hormones work and why you may be experiencing symptoms that you do, and how to begin to work with your body to bring your hormones back into balance. So if you'd like to learn more, you can check out the group programs I run, and one's coming up very soon. In fact, the next one that we have now is on the 5th of September. You can book now today and save 20% on that. The price is £89, but you can I'll give you a code afterwards that you can use to get 20% off. Group programs are fantastic. And this 28-day program is based around these principles I've spoken about today. It includes recipes, shopping lists, as well as daily modules with advice and recommendations. You'll learn how to support your hormones through diet and lifestyle practices that will really help to improve energy, maintain a healthy weight, improve sleep, and reduce hot flashes and night sweats. You'll gain knowledge with myself, an experienced nutritionist, alongside a wonderful team of well-being experts who will provide you with the support, motivation, and structure to achieve your wellness goals. So group programs are a brilliant way to make changes to your diet in a fun and supportive way. And as I say, we're starting on Monday. So if you want to get involved, now's the time to book and come and work with me, for the next 28 days. So what I'll also do is just leave you here with my contact details. My website is eatfreshandfeelgood.com. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. I often share a lot of my recipes there and tips and tricks to really keep your hormones in balance throughout life. So thank you so much for joining me today. I've actually managed to keep to my 30 minutes. It's not always easy, but I hope that's given you some really useful tips and tricks there to keep your hormones in balance. And yeah, please keep in touch. Follow me on the socials. You can join my newsletter as well. I send a newsletter out each month. It's been lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for your time.